Do you have to be tall to serve well? You absolutely do not. And I'm going to tell you one name that's going to prove my point. Serena Williams, the greatest female server in the history of tennis. Her serve was not only fast, it was very precise. She hit a tremendous amount of aces and always was very, very difficult to break. So how tall was Serena Williams? Well, some people say that she was 5'10", but if you look it up on the internet, it'll usually say 5'9". Now, a lot of you guys will always take the men as an example why you have to be tall to serve well. You think of players such as John Isner, Riley Opelka, Ivo Karlovic, but people often forget that there were some great servers who weren't that tall. For example, Sébastien Grosjean had one of the best serves in the world during the time that he played. I'm 6'5", and I'm not gonna lie to you, it is an advantage to be 6'5" when you're serving. The main advantage is the angle at which I'm making contact with the ball. Obviously, when you're taller, you're gonna make contact higher, and you're going to naturally get a trajectory that's more downward on the serve. And I'll never forget when Serena Williams was asked during the US Open, when she played Karolina Pliskova, who has one of the greatest female serves of all time, what differentiates your serve and Karolina's serve? And Serena said that Karolina's serve goes a little bit shorter in the box. So that is a huge advantage. When you have the ability to serve shorter in the box, you're gonna get more first serves in, obviously. If you serve wide towards the lines, the ball is gonna exit the court at a much steeper trajectory, and you're going to get more aces because of that. Also, there might be some evidence to the fact that when you're taller, you have a little bit more leverage and you can get more power. However, that can easily be disproven with the fact that Andy Roddick had one of the greatest serves of all time, one of the fastest serves of all time, and he was only 6'2". I say only because I'm comparing him to players like Karlovic, Isner, and Opelka. Now, one thing that's not fair to players like Opelka, Karlovic, and Isner is that people say that they're serve bots. But I can tell you that being tall is not a guarantee that you're going to serve well, because you still need sound serve mechanics. I have seen many players who are as tall as me or even taller with terrible serves. I'll tell you one quick story. This is going back almost 20 years. I was at the Sunrise Challenger here in South Florida, and I saw a young Juan Martín del Potro play at that Challenger. And his serve was like a clay quarter serve. He would kick his first serve in and he would rally from the baseline. Of course, throughout his career, his serve improved tremendously, but it was never really at the level of a Isner or a Karlovic, despite the fact that Juan Martín del Potro was very tall. So some of you guys might be wondering, how is Serena able to serve so well when she's only 5'9"? Well, that's what we're gonna put to the test today. So make sure that you stay until the end of the video. But it's not only Serena, there's another player called Sabine Lisicki who had an incredible serve, even faster than Serena's. So let me give you some data so that you can understand what I'm claiming in this video, the fact that you don't necessarily have to be tall to serve well. So I'm 6'5", but I'm not making contact where my head is. I'm making contact way higher than that. So if I extend my arm fully, and if I make contact slightly above the middle of the string bed, because that's usually where contact is made on a serve. So from the top of my head to the contact point measures 3.1 feet. Also, I'm never gonna be stationary on the serve. I'm gonna be airborne when I make contact with the ball. And let's just conservatively say that I get 5 inches off the ground. So if we add all these numbers together, me being 6'5", the distance from the top of my head to the contact point plus the 5 inches, this comes out to 9.9 feet, which is roughly 3 meters. All right, guys, so here comes the experiment. I'm going to serve kneeling down, but first we have to understand how tall I am when I'm kneeling down. And just give me 1 second so I can put these hats under my knees, because the temperature of the court here in Southeast Florida is probably 130 degrees if I'm being conservative. So if we measure my height kneeling down, it's going to be 4.9 feet. And if we add the height from the top of my head to where I make contact, that's going to be 3.1 feet, which comes to 8 feet. So even when I'm kneeling down, I'm still going to make contact with the ball at 8 feet. This is a very important thing to understand when we're talking about height on the serve. Even though I'm only 4'9", I'm going to make contact at a much higher place naturally. Now guys, it's important that we put the height of the net into the context. The height of the net is 91 centimeters, but I'm holding the camera at the level of my eyes. And as I back up towards the baseline, you can see that all of a sudden it becomes quite a difficult target. So now I'm standing right on the baseline, and as I'm looking forward, I can see that the service line is underneath the height of the net, which is more of a mental obstacle than anything else. Now keep in mind that right now, kneeling down, I'm 4.9 feet high, or 144 centimeters, which is way higher than the height of the net, which is at 91 centimeters. But because I'm standing so far back, it appears as if the net is much higher than it is in reality. Now naturally on the serve, with the full extension of the arm, I'm going to be making contact another 3.1 feet over my head, which brings the total height of my contact to 8 feet. And it is for that reason that I'm going to be able to comfortably get the balls inside the service line, even though I'm kneeling down. Now I've made several videos on the trajectory of the serve, and you have to understand that the serve has a downward trajectory even on the kick serve. So make sure you keep that in mind. I don't have to hit up on the ball in order to make it go into the box. I can hit it straight and still maneuver that ball closer and closer to the service line. Of course, I have to get warmed up a little bit. I started this experiment cold, probably not smart. But as I keep doing this, you guys will see that more and more serves are going to start going inside the service line. There was one, and there was another one. Also, mind you that I'm getting pretty good speed, even though most of my power sources are locked due to the fact that I'm kneeling down and not able to use my body properly. Oh, you saw that serve? That's a bomb right there. Is there an advantage if I stand up and serve? Of course there is. As I explained earlier, the angles are much better. Let me try one more, full body serve. You can see the angles are better. I'm getting the back fence off of 1 bounce. So there's no doubt about it that if you're taller, you get some advantages. However, this thing that's going around where people say you have to be tall to serve well, it's not true. You don't have to be tall to serve well. We are dealing with some optical illusions on the serve, unfortunately. We're dealing with a lot of misconceptions, such as the thing that's going around that the ball goes up before it goes down. That's another optical illusion. The trajectory of the serve is always downwards, independent of what type of serve we're hitting. Now, why would that be the case? Because we don't have enough space on the other side of the court to get the ball inside of the service line at a high speed if we have to hit up first and then depend on the ball to come down later. It won't come down. There's simply not enough space for that to happen. So even for someone that's 4.9 feet tall, it's still possible to get a fast serve inside of the service line, as I proved in today's video. Now, as the contact point gets lower, remember, the contact point on my serve is 10 feet in the air, 3 meters high. So when I kneel down, this contact point was a lot lower. It was at 8 feet, or roughly 2.5 meters. So obviously there's going to be less of a downward trajectory, and there's going to be more difficulties to keep the ball inside of the service line. And it's for that reason that when Serena Williams was asked who has the better serve, Pliskova or her, she said that both serves are pretty even. The only difference is that Pliskova's serve goes a little bit shorter in the box. But understand that this does not mean that Serena Williams has a disadvantage of the serve. If you learn the proper serve fundamentals, if you get enough reps in, you can be a great server independent of your height. That's a bomb right there.